Welcome to Chat Cyber, a podcast on all things cyber policy where we explore key issues and discuss policy strategies with industry experts.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Chat Cyber, Cyber Florida's policy podcast. I appreciate everybody joining us today. As always, I'm your host, James Jacobs, Cyber Florida's Associate Director for Policy and Partnerships.
And I am your co-host, Jordan Deiuliis, Cyber Policy Analyst at Cyber Florida.
Today's a special episode. We're jumping in with our holiday recap. We have our own fearless leader, Mr. Ernie Ferraresso, with us today to give a recap of what we've got going on. I apologize to those of you that are listening to this in the voice-only format. You're missing out on our great Santa Claus hats. I went to the Dollar General next door and bought a $3 hat, and that's why it doesn't fit my giant head just right. Jordan, why don't you tell us a little bit about Ernie, and then Ernie can tell us about his hat fit, and maybe you can talk about yours a little bit too. And we'll discuss these important cyber issues of hat styling.
As James mentioned, Ernie is the director of Cyber Florida. So he drives the strategic vision of the organization and oversees the center's day-to-day operations. Ernie actually started with Cyber Florida in 2017 as our associate director of programs and partnerships. Prior to Cyber Florida, Ernie worked for a small technology design and integration firm as the director of operations. He's also a retired U.S. Marine Intelligence officer. His work included assignments with U.S. Special Operations Forces, the intelligence community, the George C. Marshall European Center for Security Studies, and U.S. Cyber Command. So Ernie, thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to have you on to talk about all the fun things that Cyber Florida has done this past year and everything we're looking forward to doing next year.
Well, hey, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Here at the end of the year, end of the calendar year, and any opportunity I get to wear a cool hat, I'm in for that kind of action. So I do. Thanks, James, for this stylish hat that I have, and I do like the because it is the Santa Claus style. The white, the little puffy tassel is very nice.
It fits your head so much better than it fits mine.
Well, the key is you just have to how you wear it. You'll notice that I'm wearing mine at the jaunty angle, which gives it that, that laissez-faire, devil-may-care attitude as we get into the holidays.
To make it cyber applicable, just tell everybody, like in Tim Allen's The Santa Claus, that there's a microphone and we can talk to the North Pole headquarters. Exactly. A little tassel here.
Exactly. It's actually a Wi-Fi signal booster. That's what it is.
Ernie, before you jump into Cyber Florida recap, maybe share with the audience a little bit how you work with the general, how your leadership role functions within that apparatus here, because we have had General McKenzie on in an earlier episode. So if you could explain to the listeners a little bit how that relationship works, I think that would be useful.
Sure. So General McKenzie is General Frank McKenzie. He serves as our executive director. And in that capacity, he also is he's the executive director for Cyber Florida, as well as the USF's Global and National Securities Institute. And under that, he's also the head of national security and military partnerships at the university. So he has kind of a broad portfolio. Our organization is one of those entities underneath that. And the general and I, the general, really what his principal role is to provide the high level strategic direction, guidance as far as the what we should be doing at the big level to have the broadest impact. And through that, he'll rely on a lot of his experience, connections, and role with the university and with the nation, for that matter, to make sure that the types of things that we are doing are the right ones, and that they're going to have the right types of effects across the board. And then, so he says, "Hey, you're going to go do these types of things," and then I say, "Hey, roger that, sir," and we go do those types of things. And under his leadership, I think, we'll get talking a little bit about it here. We've really been able to significantly expand our reach and impact across the state. In the past, I guess 2-3 years, we've gone from just a few events, a few connections with folks to, if we talk about just engaging students alone I think the number of individual students that we have directly impacted or engaged is north of almost 40,000 students per year. I mean, that's what we do on a daily basis. We are engaged in work, active work in 47 of the 67 counties. We've engaged in all 67 counties across the state. So it's pretty remarkable how we've gone from a small impact and reach to where we are today. And that's because of how the general sees things, what he wants us to do, and then enables us to go off and do these things. He puts a lot of trust in our ability as an organization to do the right types of things. And so I think that speaks volumes for him and his leadership style, but also with the team that we've got and how the work that they do every day. I mean, I just happen to be the guy who sits in this chair, so it's easy for me. I don't have to do much.
I don't know about all that. I said something similar when General McKenzie came on, and I'm not just sucking up because my bosses are here. I tell it to everybody that'll ever listen. It's not just the general's remarkable leadership, which his resume bears out what a remarkable leader he is. It's your leadership as well. And this has been, as I have told anybody that will listen, probably the coolest job I've ever got the chance to have. You created such a cool culture. We're making real impact, not only at the University of South Florida, as you mentioned, but statewide. So let's get into that. Let's talk a little bit about that. I'm going to toss it over to Jordan to talk a little bit about the remarkable year that we had, and then maybe we can vision cast a little bit about what we plan for 2025.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of impact, Ernie, do you want to tell us a little bit about Sunshine CyberCon last year? That was the first year that we have brought it back, I guess, since COVID. So do you want to talk about Sunshine CyberCon and maybe Cyber Launch? Those are two of our big events that we have every year.
Yeah, so those were, so for the Sunshine CyberCon, that was really a pretty cool event. And we had, for those of us who've been following us for a while, we've had an annual conference pretty much since the inception of the center in 2014. I think the first one was 2015, up until COVID, and then we canceled that one, and it kind of went into on hiatus for a couple of years, and so we brought it back last year, and it came roaring back. We were down at the convention center. We had over 2,000 people ended up showing up for that. The vendor floor was packed. It was really, from going from being something that was offline for a couple of years to the level that it came back was truly remarkable. We had the guest speakers and the panelists that we had were really amazing. We had the CISO for the Kennedy Space Center there. She's a remarkable person. I'd like to consider her a friend of the center. We had a special guest come down. He was the acting principal deputy of the Office of the National Cyber Director. He came down and we had a great fireside chat.
He had one of those academic titles.
Yeah. And that was really cool. And we were able to host a roundtable with him and some of the regional stakeholders, which was really, really, really good stuff. That was I think it was 2 days that we did that. That was really great down there at the convention center. So we'll be bringing that one back around in the springtime. I think advanced ticket sales are available now. And that'll be at the Marriott downtown, which is, we think is going to be a better venue, a little bit more integrated. So it's going to be really cool. The cyber launch, that was a really remarkable thing. So the cyber launch is a cybersecurity competition specifically for high school students in Florida's public school. And we got the idea for this because, those that are familiar with know that competitions are a great way, to get people engaged and excited about cybersecurity, but also it's an opportunity for younger folks or folks that don't have a lot of, I'll call it, practical experience to go and do things and then be able to have something to show afterwards. Say, hey, look, I was able to do this. I participated in this. And that really goes a long way for employers in getting employment. And so what we did was we decided we're going to have this event And as we were building it out, we went and we tried to identify all the reasons why a high school cyber team couldn't come. Why couldn't you make it? Why can't you go to this? Some was, well, I don't have the faculty or the teacher would say, well, I don't have the technical chops to do this. Okay, great. So we provided them free technical training resources. Okay, what's next? Well, I don't have a way to get the students there. Okay, we'll buy you bus tickets. We'll buy you train tickets. So we trucked them in. We took that out. So like, why? What else can't you? Why else can't you come? Well, according to school policy, I have to feed them while they're there, and I don't have any money for food. Well, we'll feed them. Boom. What's next? And so we just went down the list and started knocking down reasons why these teams couldn't make it. And so at the end of the day, I want to say we had close to, I think it was over 50 school districts showed up. So that was across the state. We had, it was over 1,000 students, all high school that came from across the state. We did it in Orlando at the Caribe Royale Resort, which worked out okay. I know, James, you and I went over there. I think it was the day we first got there, and we walked in the lobby and we were like, oh, this is like a really nice place.
We should have brought our wives.
We were going to put up, something like 600 or 700 high school students in there overnight, and knock on wood. They didn't. It was. It worked out well. We didn't hear any. There was no incidents, no nothing. So that was great. And then the next day, the event itself was just. It was really just. It was a moving thing. I mean, we had, in addition to the students, we had somewhere like 40 or 50 different employers that had set up booths. I mean, from the private sector, the public sector, we had representatives from city, county, state agencies, all there. The kids were walking around talking to them about, jobs and cyber. And then we had the capture the flag session itself. And it was, it was really amazing to see. I don't think it's too strong to say. I mean, it was an emotionally charged event. I mean, there was a lot of teachers, students, you name it, that were visibly moved in a good way about the impacts that it had. I mean, there were teachers that were crying, saying this is the greatest thing they've ever seen. Some of the teachers that we had seen, I mean, they'd been teaching for years and they'd never had the opportunity to do something like this. Some of these, couple of the schools that had come, these were from some pretty rural school districts that you wouldn't think it would have a cyber program at all. And these are some of the programs that we had helped start, and then to see the students and then come into this. So it's really, really a cool event. Some really great guest speakers, and the students. I mean, it's really remarkable. And so it's so remarkable, we're doing it again. And we're going to do it again in the springtime over there in Orlando. So I'm excited about that one. As a matter of fact, I was talking with the folks that run it for us, and I want to say that as far as the students go with the teams, I mean, they're already signed up. It's already full up. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, if you were there last year, you want to come this year? Boom, they're already in. So it's really good. I'm pretty excited about that. That's a great program.
Couple follow-up questions, Ernie. Another pitch in the new year, early in the new year, we'll be putting out a cybersecurity CTE brief and kind of a snapshot of ways to continue to use those programs to fill the talent gap within the state of Florida and the support that they need there. We encountered at that event a really cool, really powerful full circle moment that really showed the impact that Cyber Florida can have as far as the teachers that we had sent through the CyberWorks program. And maybe you could share a little bit about that story and that full circle moment for Cyber Florida.
Yeah, so there was actually, I think there were two teachers there, but one of them in particular, so he was I think he's a Navy guy. Yeah, so our CyberWorks program is a program that's designed to take military veterans that are transitioning and provide them, skills training so they can enter into the cyber workforce. Well, what this guy did, so he got out of the Navy and he went to our program, and then he got a job at, he became I think it was the JROTC instructor at a local school. And then as part of that, he also picked up a job as their cyber program teacher. So this is a school that did not have a cyber program at all. And so here's the guy who gets his cyber training from us, goes to this school, starts up a cyber program, and then here they come, just a couple of years later, now they're showing up at our cybersecurity competition. So it goes from a school having nothing to a school having a viable program that is participating in competitions in a pretty short period of time. And so that's really cool to see it from, the type of, you can draw those direct through lines to say, wow, we really actually, and then, you see how many, I guess the part is, by impacting one person, how that can spread and how it can go out across. I think that's in the, to give a shameless plug to the Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell Christmas movie of the season, Spirited.
Such a good movie.
Ripple. Yeah.
Yes.
How far the ripple goes, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be surprised at how far the ripple can go when you put that out there into the universe. So pretty exciting.
Believe it or not, these two know that I'm Christmas movie obsessed. I have like a running list of 25 films. That one's not on it, but last night 2 different people told me I had to put it on there, so it's on.
Have you not seen it yet? It's really good. It's a musical. Be prepared for that. But I love Ryan Reynolds.
I love Will Ferrell.
There you go.
Probably for different reasons than the reasons you love Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So once again, to our poor listeners that are watching this video, before we hit play, Jordan and I were talking about, we're going to get some headphones that don't fall out of my ears, so I'm not constantly touching my ears.
This podcast is a work in progress.
Ernie, one other follow-up question. Can you talk a little bit more about, and then I'll toss it back over to Jordan so she can move us along, has often joked around this office, when Ernie and I start talking, somebody has to be there to shepherd us back into compliance here. Can you share some more about our target audience for CyberCon? Who benefits from that? Who should be at it? Who should be in the room? Who traditionally is in the room?
Yeah, so the Sunshine CyberCon is one of our principal audience folks are I'll call public sector employees, but also those that are involved in the critical infrastructure. So it's those are the types of folks that we're interested in reaching. So when we bring in speakers and panelists and presenters and such, that's really the audience that we're looking for. And what we're trying to do there is, in addition to providing them access to information, hopefully they'll learn something, but also giving them a chance to interact, outside of the office with other folks in the field, in their field, again, to build those, I call it communities of interest, if you want to use that. That's kind of a cliche term, but, have that community building around it. And then, I would also put in there that's an opportunity for those that are looking for, to get into the field. And it's an opportunity to interact with, industry professionals that are already there, and the work that they're doing, and understand some of the challenges that they have. And so that's really kind of who we're aiming at. So I'll call it, again, public sector folks, but not just cyber folks too, because I'd like to, if I had another thing that I'd like to add, it's more on, I'll call it the leadership side, and we talk about this a lot. It's getting organizational leaders to really have a different view of cyber and cybersecurity, that it's not the IT person's problem. It's your responsibility as the head of an organization, CEO, whatever, president, director, that you have to understand how your organization exists and operates in cyberspace, and then understand how to deal with that. So that's, understanding the types of decisions that you'll need to make when it comes to resource allocation, when it comes to managing risks, when it comes to I call it managing and leading your workforce, including your cyber workforce, because particularly in the public sector, recruiting and retaining can be a challenge. And again, if it's if you just relegate that to your IT folks, or you're okay with the high level of vacancy and staff churn in your cybersecurity folks, that usually tells me that you don't sufficiently understand the risks that you're running. That's probably on there with running with scissors through a minefield or something like that. I don't know if you can combine those two metaphors.
Well, that was one of the impetus behind us starting this podcast. Cybersecurity is no longer for just the computer scientists. If you're in a leadership role, be it organizationally or in public policy, like it's become integrated and entwined in the fabric of our society in every aspect of it. But Jordan, I want to throw it back over to you. What else do we have for Ernie?
Yeah, so I wanted to get a little bit into our education and workforce development programs and how, the successes that we've had with those this year. So specifically, maybe our First Line program that had a recent name change to First Line, and maybe our cyber range.
Yeah. So what's really interesting, fun, cool, whatever you want to call it. So the First Line program, that's part of the state's cyber education workforce development initiative for Florida's public sector employees. And that's a significant project that we started a few years ago. And now I want to say we're 14,000 public sector folks have actually participated in one training program or another. And that's particular courses for whether it's technical training, so certification prep, technical classes, on I'll call it hard cyber skills. And then we also have a portion that's cybersecurity for everybody. So that's general employee awareness, including how to recognize phishing, how do you report a cyber incident within your organization? Because that's, I'll call it. I call it cyber self-defense because people use the term cyber hygiene, and I think hygiene, that sounds like you're going to the dentist. It just sounds it sounds so antiseptic. So that whereas cyber self-defense sounds a little bit I don't know, Chuck Norrisy. I mean, that's just me, right? It sounds a little bit like you get it by learning these skills and techniques. You can be you can be more proactive, whereas I think hygiene seems more like, I'm brushing my teeth.
Make sure you floss. Yeah,
exactly. Make sure you floss. And everybody, nobody likes going to the dentist and being told they will floss. But, I am assuming if you went into the gym and you got to, practice sparring on the punching dummy, you'd be a little more excited about it. So, words have meaning. But that's kind of what that general awareness. And then kind of like we talked a little bit about before, one of the areas that we're really putting a significant emphasis on is on the leadership and executive level education. And that's, again, to understand the risks and the challenges and the types of decisions and thinking that agency heads, both elected and non-elected, have to understand in order to make the smart decisions around that. And that's kind of, as we look at that program, that's really what that's from. And when we talk about how we determine some of the topic areas, that's directly derived from our risk assessment program and the types of things that we identified as gaps, at the sector level as we're doing it. So it's been really, that's been a tremendous program. Jim and his crew have done a remarkable job of pulling that together. And then part and parcel to that is the ARCS range, which is our cyber range program. And Dr. Bruce Calkins has been running that up. That started earlier this year. And now we have over 400 individuals on there. And I want to say every county has been, on it. And he just got done wrapping up the cyber readiness evaluation series for state agencies. So that was a kind of a first for us. And again, that's a tremendous resource that we have here for the state. And we're going to expand how that gets used over the next several years. But that's a great area where we brought the state incident response teams in, and they ran through I'll call it a live fire. That's kind of a hokey term, but where they go in and it's like, hey, okay, you've got to do the following, you got to perform the following functions in a simulated environment. So, hey, restore services, respond to a DDoS problem, ransomware X, what do you do? In a technical, so this is for the technical team. So it's really been a tremendous asset in that. And that's working in collaboration. The CSERT exercise is working in collaboration with the Florida Digital Service, which has been, again, that's something that we've done pretty well, has expanded that out. And so as all of those programs come together, that's I'll call it on our workforce development education side. But we're moving more and it's into providing, I'll call it a more integrated approach when it comes to our K through 12 side, but we'll be expanding more for support through the Florida college system, and then also tying that together with our university programs. And that's where the other thing that we've been doing overall with our education and workforce development is being involved with the Florida Department of Education and working to update and adopt and adapt not just the career and technical education cybersecurity standards, but also general education cybersecurity standards. And that's as part of our effort to, I'll call it mainline, cybersecurity into everyday life for all of our students, because that's where I think we're going to have some of the big wins as far as long-term effects. I mean, so if we just back up our Cyber Florida's two big buckets of what we're trying to achieve is that workforce development and education. It's making more cyber workers and making the existing workforce better. And then it's cyber resilience is how do we make organizations and people able to respond and recover and prepare for, respond and recover for cyber related type of things. And so they're both overlapping. They're both directly related. But it's, how do we do this? And I say here in Florida, we're pretty good at doing that for hurricanes. We've got all that already set. Hurricanes are going to happen here. And so you figure out how to adapt your lifestyle around it. And so that's what we want to do. Is we want to have that level of expertise and resilience, in cyber, because, ideally you want it that people can, live, thrive, and survive here in the 21st century.
For sure.
Speaking of Dr. Calkins, we're going to have him on at some point. He too is the owner of an excellent hat.
He does own an excellent hat.
Arguably better than these.
I don't listen. These aren't better. They're just different.
I think all of us have a little bit of a fit issue with these hats.
But I got to tell you this: my head is warm.
Yeah, true. Very true.
I mean, I'll bet you Bruce's hat doesn't keep his head warm. It's off, but it doesn't keep his head warm.
Inside joke, folks. Bruce wears a giant cowboy hat since he runs our range. It's pretty excellent. I'm not going to lie.
It's Bruce on the range as well.
Well, Ernie, speaking a little bit more about education, you mentioned the state college and the higher education levels. Do you want to talk a little bit about our Student Security Operations Center, and then also maybe Cyber Herd, which was an initiative I believe that started this year that General McKenzie was super excited about that, and we're doing awesome. So, anyways, I'll hand it over to you if you want to touch on both of those.
On those two things, so the Security Operations Center, we call it SOCAP, Security Operations Center Apprenticeship Program. That's the program where we hire USF students. And so we've got, I think, 15 of them now. We have 15 students, and working with our Operations Center director, a guy named Ryan Irving, him and his colleague, co-star, whatever you want to, Yui Dow, they basically have these students working on cybersecurity projects and challenges that are given to them by the university, by local governments, whether that's, some of the done work for judicial court, the judicial circuits and such. So it's public sector organizations. And what it is these students do take on projects that these organizations are just either too overwhelmed, don't have the time, or something they needed to get to that they haven't, to pick up some of the slack for these organizations. And what's that's been doing is these students are doing, digital forensic work, log management, identity and access challenges, all of these different types of work that is giving them levels of hands-on experience that they wouldn't get just through going through their degree program. And it's really been remarkable. And then the students in there are doing really cool things on their own. I mean, they built their own AI-enabled cyber analysis chatbot, which is pretty cool, that they can go in and ask different types of questions, different cybersecurity related challenges that they run into. And this device will help them find the answer and help them come up with a plan. It's really remarkable stuff. The students that go through that, they get, so one of them's going, he graduates, I think coming up, but he's going to work for Google Mandiant, so he's got a job there. All of these kids go off to do great stuff. And it's really been a great boon for them, but also for the communities that we serve in that sense too, because it does provide those organizations a tremendous service that they couldn't do themselves. And so it's basically scratching two of those itches. It's getting the workforce, so it's getting the students energized and giving them experience, but it's also helping the resilience of the communities by helping them build and become more cyber resilient on that. So that's pretty cool on that. What was the other thing you talked about?
Cyber Herd.
Oh, the Herd. Yeah, that's right. Can't forget about them, dude. So those guys. So that's the Cyber Herd is the USF cyber competition team, and so as you probably guess, one of the things that USF is keen on is being good in university athletics. So, we're building a new football stadium. We've got the basketball team, the football team. And they're improving. They're getting better. The football team's going to the Aloha Bowl, coming up. So that's just good stuff. But we got to do better. Go Bulls. Aloha Bulls. Hey, brother, you got to go run with the Bulls, huh? That's my Hawaiian. But the other area that the president wanted us to do is not only excel in, I'll call it traditional athletics, but in other competition spaces as well. And that's where this comes in. And so those who track these things know that USF's local rival just to the east of us on I-4 is the University of Central Florida. And for many, many years, the University of Central Florida has dominated the world of collegiate cyber competitions. Well, that's about to change. So over the past 18 months, the USF Cyber Herd, who's been working with our very own Dr. Sriram Chelapan as one of their advisors, and their coach has come out of the gate strong. And so they've we've been helping them. We've been giving them access to some tools and some training and such. But they're coming on strong. They're coming up fast. And so now UCF, they can't rest because the USF Cyber Herd is stampeding along. Yeah. We're gonna run over the hey, listen, that's great that you got a bunch of knights, but man, you can't stop the herd once we get rolling. And the herd is rolling.
I don't remember exactly the names of the competitions and stuff, but Sriram comes back and tells us we got second or first or we're up there, we're doing great.
Yeah. Matter of fact, the one that they they got invited to, this is an international competition, and it's an international invitational one. It's up in New York. God bless them for going to Rochester, New York, and I think it's in January. I mean, that's kind of like the for the football fans. That's like the Lambeau Field of cyber. The frozen tundra up there. So they're heading up there. But so it's an international competition. The reigning champions of that one are actually coming from Jordan, of all places.
Wow.
So I think there's 12 teams that got invited out of hundreds that get screened, so to speak. But out of those 12, 3 are from Florida. So I mean, it's us. I think UCF is in there, and I can't remember the other one.
University of Florida, I believe.
But that says something, right? About here in Florida. I mean, these are international competitions, and Florida has often has the majority as far as teams from the state that are showing up. So we're doing something right down here.
That's the return on investment that the legislature has put into cyber in the state. I mean, it's paying dividends.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to things. And I think we're getting better as a state of telling that story. And when I say that telling the story, it's not us telling the story. It's it's the results are. We don't just talk the talk. We walk the walk. I mean, these teams are coming in, and they're not. They're coming to play, man.
Jordan, do you have any final thoughts for Ernie before I close this out?
I don't think so. I think this has been awesome, Ernie. Thank you so much.
Well, no, thank you for having me. And, any opportunity, like I said before, any opportunity I get to wear a hat, particularly a cool hat, I do enjoy.
You can talk to the North Pole.
That's right.
Yeah. Page Santa.
That's right. Oh, yeah,
guys,
by the way, I haven't seen the latest Rock movie. My mom says I should see it, though.
Is it good?
The Rock, Chris Evans. No. Christmas movie.
The Christmas one, Jordan.
Sorry, I have a 1-year-old who is Moana obsessed, and Moana 2 just came out, so we haven't seen that yet. I can't take him to the movie theater.
Both of you guys have young kids, and you're just embarking on it. The one thing, so this is more towards, maybe Jordan will fit you. See, the part that was good, you're getting into the age where, and of course now that you guys, you are the ones employed. If there were any, and thanks to the internet, if there were any toys or things that you wanted, but you never had, this is the opportunity to do that under the guise of, oh no, listen, it's the kids. Because listen, I got to tell you, when my kids, how old were they? 3? Yeah. My kids got the Playmobil pirate chip.
Oh,
I don't think they knew a damn thing about pirates or Playmobil. But
let me tell you, every year so far, this will be my son's second Christmas, and every Christmas so far, my husband says, "Is he old enough for me to get Nerf guns?" I'm like, "He's one." I'm like, he doesn't know how to use a Nerf gun.
Well, you could teach him how. JJ just got into Hot Wheels. And let's just say Daddy's already added a couple things to the old Christmas list.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, listen, I think you can find the Smokey and the Bandit Hot Wheels set.
That would be incredible. That would be incredible.
For those out there in the podcast verse, if you can lay your hands on a Smokey and the Bandit Hot Wheels or Matchbox set,
winner. You win a free subscription to
Chat Cyber Policy Podcast.
Free subscription.
And you'll get a Cyber Florida stress cube.
And I'll send you this lightly used Santa hat.
I think mine still got the tags on if you want.
Well, guys, as always, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We're almost a year into this. Really appreciate the listenership. As always, we want to expand that listenership. We've created this platform for policymakers, for their staffs, for those of you that are involved in organizational policy and setting that. We want to be a resource to you. So please, please, please tell us what's useful. Tell your friends about us. We know session's about to start. Those of you that know me know I know what that long drive to Tallahassee and back is like. I know you need some filler in there, so turn us on. Email me. Let me know what you want to hear about. Going into the new year, we're still going to have some Cyber Florida pieces. We're going to have we're going to have Dr. Calkins on to tell you a little bit more about the range and about the impact it's had, and show you some more about the state investment there and the plans we have for that going forward. We're also going to branch out into some of the Chinese threat and how that specifically impacts Florida, some of what the Russians are doing. So we've got what we think some exciting stuff lined up for you guys. Please reach out to me. Tell me what you want to know. Tell me what you want to learn about. We want this to be useful to you all. We appreciate the support, and we want to wish you all a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and we'll see you in the new year.
All opinions expressed by the Chat Cyber podcast participants are their own and do not exclusively represent the views and opinions of Cyber Florida.